The MCU's given us some properly horrific deaths over the years. The kind that made you go, did they actually just do that in a Disney film? We're talking about the deaths that were so brutal, so shocking, that they're still being talked about years later. Let's get into them.
I have children of my own. I understand your pain.
Is their mother still alive?
Yes.
Good. There will be someone left to raise them.
This sequence is hands down the most violent stretch in the entire MCU, and it's not even close. When Wanda dreamwalks into her Earth 838 variant and crashes the Illuminati's little meeting, what follows is basically a slasher film. Sam Raimi clearly said, "You want madness? I'll show you madness."
I got you, homie!
First up is Black Bolt, and Reed Richards, in possibly the dumbest move ever, tells Wanda that Black Bolt's mouth is his most dangerous weapon. Cheers for the tip, Reed. Wanda immediately makes his mouth disappear, and Black Bolt's scream implodes his own head from the inside.
Wanda, Black Bolt could destroy you with one whisper from his mouth.
What mouth?
Then she turns Reed into spaghetti, literally stretching him until he shreds apart. Captain Carter gets sliced in half by her own shield, Captain Marvel gets crushed under a statue like she's nothing, and Professor X thinks he can save Wanda by entering her mind, only for her to snap his neck while he's trapped in there. 5 minutes, and Earth 838's mightiest heroes are just corpses scattered everywhere. Elizabeth Olsen plays this with such cold detachment. This should have been number 1, but I'm not really ranking these entries in any order, okay? Vision's double death is one of the cruelest things the Russos ever put on screen. Throughout the film, Vision's been insisting Wanda destroy the Mind Stone in his head to stop Thanos. When Thanos arrives in Wakanda, they're out of time at this point. Vision begs Wanda to do it, telling her, "You could never hurt me," which is heartbreaking because she's literally about to kill him.
You can't stop him, Wanda, but we can. Look at me. You have the power to destroy the stone. It's all right. You could never hurt me.
So Wanda, whilst holding Thanos back in one hand, has to destroy the other stone with her other hand, killing Vision while he's looking at her, saying it's okay. The explosion disintegrates him, and she's devastated. She's just killed the person she loves the most.
I understand my child better than anyone.
You could never.
But then, Thanos reverses time with the Time Stone, bringing Vision back, and Wanda watches her sacrifice mean absolutely nothing.
Oh my god!
Thanos grabs Vision's head and rips the Mind Stone straight out of his forehead. Vision's body turns grey and lifeless. So, Vision dies twice in 2 minutes. Wanda caused the first death, and she was powerless to stop the second. No wonder she completely lost it in WandaVision. This scene sets the tone immediately that the mystical arts aren't going to be fun. They're lethal. Mads Mikkelsen's Caecilius breaks into Kamar-Taj to steal pages from the Book of Cagliostro. The librarian tries to stop him, and what follows is genuinely brutal. Using the mirror dimension, Caecilius and his zealots trap the guard and torture him. They're hurting his body with magical weapons that look absolutely agonizing. I mean, the poor bloke is screaming while they interrogate him. Then, after they get what they want, Caecilius just casually decapitates him with a magical blade. The head drops. This established that Doctor Strange wasn't your typical MCU. The way Caecilius and his zealots move is unsettling, heads tilting at weird angles like they're not quite human anymore. It's a disturbing scene that often gets forgotten.
I'm sorry, little one.
What makes Gamora's death brutal isn't the physical act, it's the emotional horror of the situation. On Vormir, Red Skull explains you must sacrifice someone you love. Gamora starts laughing because she thinks Thanos loves nothing and therefore can't get the stone. Then she sees a tear running down his face and realizes with absolute horror that he genuinely loves her in his twisted way.
You asked it for a prize, and it told you no. And do you want to know why? Because you love nothing. Tears.
They're not for him.
This is the daughter he kidnapped and raised as a weapon, but in his warped mind, he does love her. Zoe Saldana's performance is incredible. You see the exact moment she understands what's about to happen. She begs him not to, pulls out a knife to kill herself, but Thanos turns it to just drags her to the cliff and throws her off. The camera follows her falling, screaming all the way down until she hits the bottom with this sickening thud. What makes it worse is Thanos is genuinely sad. He's crying, clearly hurt, but he did it anyway. It's child murder wrapped in this gross justification of love.
What if you can afford me out there, though, right? With everything I know.
I can't afford that.
This death is brilliant because it's so casual and unexpected. Adrian Toomes is having a conversation with Shocker, who's been getting mouthy and threatening to snitch. Toomes thinks he's holding the anti-gravity gun, making a whole speech about loyalty and consequences. Then he points the weapon and fires, expecting to lift the bloke up and scare him. Instead, he's holding the alien disintegration weapon, and bro just explodes into ash.
I thought this was the anti-gravity gun.
What? No, that's that one.
Everyone's frozen, staring at the pile of ash that used to be a dude. Michael Keaton's face is perfect. Toomes is genuinely shocked because he didn't mean to kill him, just rough him up a little. Then he just calmly hands the real anti-gravity gun to someone else, promotes him to Shocker on the spot, and then just moves on. It's darkly comedic but also brutal because it shows how dangerous this alien tech is. One wrong weapon, 1 second, and you're just gone.
Here. Now you're the Shocker.
Go out there and find that weapon he lost.
Quicksilver's death hits really hard because it's so sudden, and Aaron Taylor-Johnson had just made the character genuinely likable. During the Battle of Sokovia, Hawkeye is protecting a kid whilst Ultron's flying around shooting at everything. Hawkeye sees Ultron about to fire at him and the kid, and he knows he's not fast enough to escape. He just braces himself, accepting he's about to die. Then Pietro shows up at super speed, says you didn't see that coming, and uses his body to shield them from the bullets.
You didn't see that coming?
The guns riddle Pietro with bullets, and he drops. 1 second he's smiling and being his cocky self, the next he's got dozens of bullet holes in his chest and he's clearly dying. Hawkeye's reaction is devastating because this kid just sacrificed himself to save his life. Then Wanda feels her twin brother die from across the battlefield and just screams, releasing this shockwave that destroys every Ultron bot around her. It's Wanda's first major MCU loss, setting up her entire tragic arc.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
This scene is brutal, specifically because of how anticlimactic and unsatisfying it is, which is entirely the point. The Avengers track down Thanos to his peaceful planet where he's basically retired after destroying the Infinity Stones. There's no epic fight, no dramatic battle. Thanos is just a broken, injured old man who's completed his mission.
Where are the stones?
Gone. Reduced to atoms.
Thor, who's still completely broken from failing to kill Thanos properly in Infinity War, just walks up and has this brief conversation where Thanos admits he destroyed the stones. Then Thor, consumed by rage and guilt, just summons Stormbreaker and cuts Thanos' head clean off. It rolls across the floor whilst everyone stands in shocked silence. But there's no satisfaction here, no sense of victory, it's just cold-blooded murder.
What did you do? I went for the head.
The brutality isn't in the violence, but in how hollow and pointless it feels. Thor thought killing Thanos would give him closure, but you can see on Chris Hemsworth's face that it's done absolutely nothing.
Perhaps I treated you too harshly. And that is destiny fulfilled.
This is the most disturbing death in any MCU series. John Walker, played brilliantly by Wyatt Russell, has just watched his best friend Lamar get killed by the Flag Smashers. He's already been struggling with the pressure of being Captain America, already using the super soldier serum, and now he's lost his mate. Walker chases down one of the flag smashers, a bloke who's begging for his life, saying he didn't kill the mark, just trying to surrender. But Walker, he's beyond reason at this point. He's got Captain America's shield, the ultimate symbol of hope and justice, and he just starts beating this man to death with it in the middle of a crowded public square in broad daylight. The scene is deliberately uncomfortable. We see blood splattering on the shield, Walker's face twisted in rage, and this terrified bloke being murdered. The crowd is filming on phones, watching Captain America commit murder. When Walker finally stops, the shield is covered in blood and everyone's staring in horror. It's a complete perversion of everything Cap stands for. The bloody shield became iconic. What makes it brutal is we understand why Walker did it, but understanding doesn't make it less horrifying.
Darren, I don't think you understand.
This death shows how genuinely psychotic Darren Cross has become. Frank, one of Cross's board members, questions the morality of weaponizing the Yellow Jacket suit. Completely reasonable concern, right?
Imagine what our enemies could do with this tech.
We should have a longer conversation about that, Frank. I really value your opinion.
Cross responds by inviting Frank to a private demonstration. He shows Frank this little device and before Frank can react, Cross activates it. The device shrinks Frank down to bacteria size and keeps shrinking him until he's literally crushed by atomic pressure. Cross does this while cheerfully explaining the science behind it like he's showing off a cool new gadget. Frank's screaming gets higher pitched as he shrinks and then it just stops. Cross then casually wipes away the little smear that used to be a human being with a tissue and flushes it down the toilet.
We still haven't worked out all the bugs.
The whole thing takes 30 seconds and Cross is smiling the entire time. It's genuinely disturbing because it's so calculated and cold. I mean, there's no anger, no passion. Cross is just efficiently removing an obstacle and treating murder like a science experiment. It shows how dangerous Pym particles really are.
Goodbye, Frank.
That's... I don't...
This death is absolutely savage and comes completely out of nowhere. Johnny Storm, played by Chris Evans returning to the role, has been captured by Cassandra Nova along with Deadpool and Wolverine. According to Deadpool's account, Johnny spent ages bad-mouthing Cassandra, talking about certain acts she'd performed.
Yeah, Johnny told us you're a psychotic, megalomaniacal... His words, not mine. Hell-bent on domination and pain.
When Cassandra asks Johnny if this is true, he obviously denies it, doesn't he? But Deadpool confirms that, yeah, Johnny said all of that and more. Cassandra just looks at Johnny, then uses her telepathic powers to make his skin peel off. It's horrific. You're watching Chris Evans' face come off. Emma Corrin plays Cassandra with this detached curiosity. The scene is played for dark comedy, but it is still brutal, you know?
Not my favorite Chris.
You stupid piece of shit. Just got him fucked. Hey, we're all grieving!
And the funniest part, the end credits revealed Johnny actually did say all those things, so Deadpool wasn't lying, was he?
That's right, Wade. I won't be happy until I've urinated on her freshly barbecued corpse and husk charred remains while gargling Juggernaut's Juggernuts.
Got you, face.
Queen Ramonda's death is devastating because of how sudden and pointless it feels. When Namor and the Talokan O'Neill attack Wakanda, they flood parts of the city, which is terrifying because Wakanda's supposed to be this impenetrable fortress. Shuri and Riri Williams are in Shuri's lab when it gets flooded. Ramonda rushes in and manages to save both of them, getting them to the surface. But in doing so, she becomes trapped under the water and drowns. There's this horrific moment where Shuri's trying to revive her mum on the shore, doing chest compressions, begging her to wake up, and then you just realize Ramonda's just gone.
Keep it back!
Buried your dad. Mourned your losses.
This film already started with T'Challa's death, and now Shuri's lost her mother too. Angela Bassett's performance was incredible. Ramonda's been this pillar of strength and wisdom, trying to guide Wakanda through losing T'Challa, and then she just dies saving her daughter. It is a noble death, but it doesn't feel triumphant. It just feels tragic and unfair.
That is a terrible, terrible idea.
This death is brilliant because of how sudden and unexpected it is. Steve and Natasha have just spent ages capturing Jasper Sitwell, interrogating him, getting him to reveal Hydra's entire plan with Project Insight. Sitwell's in the back of their car explaining everything about Zola's algorithm, targeting threats before they become threats.
Zola's algorithm evaluates people's past to predict their future.
What then?
Oh my God, Pierce is gonna kill me.
What then?
Everyone's listening to his exposition, then, mid-sentence, the Winter Soldier just appears on top of their car and yeets Sitwell straight through the windscreen onto oncoming traffic. 1 second he's talking, the next he's just gone, and you hear the crunch as he gets hit by a truck. It happens so fast that there's this moment where your brain has to catch up with what just occurred. What makes this death brilliant is how it establishes the Winter Soldier as an absolute threat. He just removed their prisoner without hesitation, mid-conversation, didn't care about getting information. It also shows that Hydra doesn't mess about. Sitwell betrayed them by talking, so he had to go, even if it meant very public murder on a busy highway. Crossbones' death is brutal and tragic because it's the inciting incident for the entire Sokovia Accords conflict. Frank Grillo's Brock Rumlow has become Crossbones, this scarred, vengeful terrorist who blames Captain America for his injuries in Winter Soldier.
There you are, you son of a bitch. I've been waiting for this! This is for dropping a building on my face.
After a chase through Lagos, Cap finally corners him in a crowded marketplace. Crossbones reveals he's wearing a suicide vest, says, "This is for you, Cap," and then detonates it, trying to take Steve and everyone nearby with him. Wanda Maximoff reacts instinctively, using her powers to contain the explosion and lift Crossbones up and away from Steve and the crowd. But she loses control for just a second, and the explosion gets directed into a nearby building, killing Crossbones and a bunch of aid workers inside.
Fire and rescue on the south side of the building. We gotta get up there.
What made this brutal is that Wanda was trying to save people. I mean, she contained the explosion. She lifted it away from the crowded market. If she'd done nothing, hundreds would have died on the street. But because some people still died in that building, she gets blamed for it. You see, Crossbones literally exploded inside Wanda's energy field, his body disintegrating from the blast. It's a brutal death that has massive consequences, and poor Wanda carries the guilt of it for years. Proxima Midnight's death is proper poetic justice because she gets killed by her own war machine. During the Battle of Wakanda, Proxima is absolutely battering Black Widow and Okoye. Like, these two are some of the best fighters in the MCU, and Proxima's just tossing them around like they're nothing. She's this incredibly skilled warrior with her spear, and she's been causing chaos throughout the entire battle. But then, Wanda Maximoff shows up and Proxima makes the fatal mistake of taunting her. Massive tactical error there, mate, because you've just wound up the one person on the battlefield who can atomize you with her mind. Wanda, absolutely done with Proxima's nonsense, uses her telekinesis to lift Proxima straight up into the air and launches her directly into the spinning blades of one of those massive Thresher war machines. Yes, the same machines Proxima brought to the battle.
We have blood to spare.
The irony is just mwah. You see, Proxima got absolutely mauled by the blades. It's not shown on screen in detail because, well, Disney, but you know she's being turned into alien mincemeat.
That's really gross.
Cassandra Nova's death is absolutely mental because she basically gets erased from existence by the Time Ripper, whilst Deadpool and Wolverine are holding hands in this weirdly touching moment. Throughout the film, Cassandra's been this absolutely terrifying villain. She can enter people's minds, she's Charles Xavier's evil twin sister, she's been ruling the void with an iron fist, but in the end, she dies like a chump. Deadpool and Wolverine form this circuit to absorb the Time Ripper's energy and stop it from destroying everything. The visual effects showing them being bombarded with this reality-destroying energy whilst they're all screaming is properly intense. What makes Cassandra's death interesting is that Emma Corrin plays it with this sense of doom. Like, she doesn't accept this is how it ends and she's not okay with it.
Trust the laws of physics if you don't trust me. Even if you lived long enough to make the circuit, you will die down there.
The energy just disintegrates her bit by bit until there's nothing left. It's tragic and satisfying simultaneously, which is quite the achievement for a character who spent most of the film peeling people's skin off for fun. Obadiah Stane's death is the very first villain death in the entire MCU, and they absolutely didn't hold back, did they? After this massive fight between Tony in the Mark III and Stane in the absolutely monstrous Ironmonger suit, Tony realizes he can't win in a straight fight.
Impressive! You've upgraded your armor! I've made some upgrades of my own!
Stane's suit is bigger, more powerful, and Tony's arc reactor is running on fumes. So Tony does what he does best. He outsmarts the problem. He lures Stane up on the roof, knowing that Stane's suit has the same icing problem his Mark II had.
How'd you solve the icing problem?
Icing problem.
Might want to look into it.
Once Stane's suit freezes up and crashes back down onto the roof, you'd think that's it, fight over. But no, Jeff Bridges, Stane, battered and beaten, manages to climb out of the suit and actually tries to grab Tony one last time, still ranting about how he built the company. The absolute dedication to villainy is quite impressive here, really. Then Pepper, who's been told by Tony to overload the giant arc reactor, finally does it, and this massive explosion of energy just shoots straight up through the roof.
Push it!
Stane, standing directly above the reactor, gets absolutely vaporized by the energy blast. There's this brilliant shot of him screaming as he falls into the exploding reactor, and then he's just gone. Ajax's death is absolutely heartbreaking because she's betrayed by someone she considered family. After discovering the truth about the emergence, Ajax decides she can't go through with it. She wants to save humanity rather than follow the Celestials' plan. Salma Hayek plays Ajax with such warmth throughout the film, making her this maternal figure for the Eternals.
This planet and these people have changed me.
When she goes to the emergence site alone to try and communicate with Arishem the Celestial, Icarus follows her. She tells him that she's going to let the humans live, and that's when she's going to stop the emergence, and that she wants him to lead the Eternals now.
The cost of Arishem's design, it's not worth it. Not this time.
I trust you, Ajax.
And Icarus, who's known about the emergence the entire time and is fully committed to letting it happen, just grabs her and flies her to the emergence site. Then he just allows the Deviants to attack her. Doesn't even have the guts to kill her himself. He lets these monsters tear her apart whilst he watches. The Deviants literally absorb her powers and essence while she's suffering. Ajax, who healed everyone, who held them together for thousands of years, dies alone and betrayed by someone she trusted. I mean, it's pretty dark stuff. This isn't just a brutal couple of deaths, it's the moment that nearly destroys the Avengers from the inside. The scene where Tony watches footage of Bucky as the Winter Soldier murdering his parents is absolutely gut-wrenching. Howard and Maria Stark are driving on a remote road when the Winter Soldier runs them off it. The car crashes and you see Howard crawling out, injured and dazed. He looks up, sees the Winter Soldier approaching and actually recognizes him. Sergeant Barnes? Then Bucky just kills him with his metal arm, showing no mercy at all, whilst Maria is absolutely helpless. It's so brutal and personal in a way that most MCU deaths aren't. Then Bucky calmly walks to the other side of the car and chokes Maria to death to eliminate witnesses. The whole thing is cold, efficient, and horrifying. What makes it worse is watching Tony's face as he sees this footage. You can see his entire world collapsing because his friend Steve knew about this and didn't tell him. Robert Downey Jr.'s performance here is incredible. The rage, the grief, the betrayal all happening at once. This death doesn't just kill Howard and Maria, it nearly kills the Avengers as a team. Absolute gut punch of a scene.
Did you know? I didn't know it was him. Shouldn't. I just did you know.
Loki's death at the start of Infinity War is devastating because after all the Thor films and his character development, he finally does something genuinely heroic and immediately gets murdered for it. After watching Thanos beat the absolute piss out of Hulk and torture Thor, Loki pretends to submit to Thanos, calling him the Great Thanos and offering him the Tesseract. Thanos takes the Space Stone and crushes the Tesseract like it's nothing. Then Loki, in what might be the dumbest yet bravest move of his life, tries to stab Thanos with a hidden knife, declaring, "You will never be a god." Thanos, who's fought literally everyone in the universe, catches the blade without even looking and just lifts Loki up by the throat with the Infinity Gauntlet.
You should choose your words more carefully.
Tom Hiddleston's performance as Loki chokes out his last words, looking at Thor and saying, "The sun will shine on us again, brother." It's heartbreaking. Then Thanos just snaps his neck. The sound of it breaking is genuinely horrific. Thanos then drops Loki's body in front of Thor and says, "No resurrections this time," which is particularly cruel because Loki's died before and come back, but this time he's just dead. Thor's anguished scream whilst Thanos walks away is devastating. After 12 years, Loki dies a hero, but tell you what, it freaking hurts.
No resurrections this time.
Aunt May's death is absolutely devastating, and it's the moment Peter Parker truly loses his innocence in the MCU. After Green Goblin takes control of Norman Osborn's body and goes absolutely mental, he throws one of his pumpkin bombs during the battle at Feast. The explosion causes absolute chaos, and when Peter finds May in the rubble, she's been fatally injured.
May, I'm here.
Marissa Tomei and Tom Holland's performances here are incredible. You can see May realizing she's dying whilst trying to keep Peter calm. She tells him, "With great power, there must also come great responsibility," which is the first time anyone said this iconic line to MCU Peter. She's literally using her last breaths to teach him this lesson.
You have power, and with great power, there must also come great responsibility.
Tom Holland's face as he watches May die in his arms is absolutely heartbreaking. He's desperately trying to stay positive, telling her the paramedics are coming and she's going to be fine, while clearly she's fading. When she finally dies, Peter just sits there holding her body completely broken.
What are you doing, May? Please, will you just wake up and talk to me, please?
The fact that Happy finds him like that, covered in debris and blood, makes it even worse. This death fundamentally changes Peter. He goes from the kid who wanted to be an Avenger to someone who understands the true cost of being Spider-Man.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Ivan Vanko's death is brilliant because he literally rejoices even whilst losing. After this massive battle at the Stark Expo where Tony and Rhodey have been fighting Vanko's drones and then Vanko himself in his weaponized armor, they finally managed to defeat him. Both Tony and Rhodey blast Vanko simultaneously with their repulsors, completely destroying his armor and leaving him defeated on the ground. You'd think that's it, villain's done, but then Mickey Rourke's Vanko, lying there with his armor sparking and broken, just starts laughing. Not evil cackling, genuinely amused laughing. He looks at Tony and says, "You lose," which is confusing because he's the one lying on the ground defeated. Then his arc reactor starts beeping and Tony realizes with absolute horror that Vanko's rigged all the drones in his own suit to explode.
All these drones are rigged to blow. We gotta get out of here, man.
Pepper?
The entire expo is covered in all of these things. Tony and Pepper barely escape before Vanko's suit explodes in this massive fireball, vaporizing him completely. What makes this brilliant is that Vanko's entire goal wasn't really to kill Tony. It was to prove that Tony Stark isn't special, that the tech can be replicated, and that Tony's legacy is just as tainted as his father's. Even in death, he accomplishes that. Killian's death is absolutely brilliant because after spending the entire film being this smug villain who thinks he's untouchable, he gets absolutely destroyed by Pepper Potts of all. You can see he genuinely didn't see it coming. Guy Pearce's Aldrich Killian has been proper insufferable throughout the whole film, injecting himself with extremists, breathing fire, regenerating from injuries, generally being a smug git about how he's the Mandarin and how he's going to kill Tony and take Pepper.
No more false faces. You said you wanted the Mandarin. You're looking right at him.
He's got Tony beaten, he's about to kill him, and then Pepper, who'd been injected with extremists earlier and was thought to be dead, just emerges from the wreckage absolutely glowing with power. The look on Killian's face is priceless. He's genuinely shocked that she's alive and stable with extremists. Pepper, who spent 3 films being the sensible one whilst Tony does dangerous stuff, just goes absolutely mental on Killian. Then, in the most satisfying moment in the film, she grabs one of Tony's repulsor gauntlets and blasts Killian point blank in the chest. He literally explodes from the inside out, going up in flames like a firework. Tony's just standing there watching his girlfriend absolutely demolish the villain, and his only response is, "That was really violent." Brilliant stuff.
You just scared the devil out of me. I thought you were...
I was dead. Why? Because I fell 200 feet? Who's the hot mess now?
Still debatable?
Your powers are inconsequential compared to mine.
Yeah, but the kid's seen more movies.
Ebony Moore's death is totally crazy because after spending whatever little presence he had being this insufferable, overpowered telekinetic villain, he gets killed by the most basic physics problem ever, explosive decompression. After Moore captures Doctor Strange and is torturing him on the Q ship to get the Time Stone, Tony and Peter sneak aboard. They realize they can't beat Moore in a straight fight. He's too powerful. He's controlling everything around him with his mind. He's basically untouchable. So Tony comes up with a plan based on the film Aliens, which Peter strongly recommended.
So you're done there, you're in trouble. What's your plan? Go.
Okay. Did you ever see this really old movie, Aliens?
They blow a hole in the side of the ship. The explosive decompression sucks Ebony Moore, who's been so smug and confident this entire time, straight out into the vacuum of space. The look on his face as he realizes what's happening is brilliant. Pure shock that these simple humans have outsmarted him. He could desperately try to use his telekinesis to save himself. There's nothing to grab onto in space, is there? He just freezes and dies, floating off into the void. Tom Vaughan Lawler's motion capture performance makes Moore's final moments genuinely unsettling. You see the exact moment the arrogance leaves his eyes. Sometimes the simplest solution is just yeeting the villain into space.
And I want you to thank me now. Go ahead, I'm listening.
For what? Nearly blasting me into space?
Who just saved your magical ass? Me.
See you in hell, monster.
Curse's death is so brilliant because Loki, even while seemingly dying himself, manages to pull off one last trick that's absolutely devastating. Curse is this absolutely massive dark elf warrior who's been enhanced to the point where he's stronger than Thor. He's been battering the god of thunder throughout the entire fight, and Thor literally cannot hurt him. When Curse impales Loki with his own blade, which is what kills Loki in this film before he obviously comes back because it's Loki, you know. You think that's it, Loki's done. But Loki, with literally his dying breath, looks at Curse and says, "See you in hell, monster," then activates a black hole grenade which he manages to attach to Curse. The grenade activates and Curse is just sucked into this collapsing singularity, being crushed and torn apart by gravitational forces. It's genuinely horrific. You see Curse desperately trying to fight the grenade whilst being pulled into oblivion, and there's nothing he can do. The visual effects of him being compressed and destroyed by the black hole are freaking grim. What makes this death brilliant is that it's Loki doing what he does best, being clever and vindictive even whilst dying. He couldn't beat Curse with strength, so he used trickery. Classic Loki move. Executed perfectly, even as he's bleeding out. Absolute legend.
I'll tell Father what you did here today. I didn't do it for him.
Tony Stark's death is the most emotionally devastating moment in the entire MCU. And I'll tell you what, it's not even close, okay? After everything, after 11 years of films, after building the Avengers, after all the fights and sacrifices, it comes down to Tony making the ultimate choice. When Thanos gets his hands on the Infinity Gauntlet during the final battle, you genuinely think it's over. He's about to snap again.
I am inevitable.
But then Tony, who's been grappling with him, reveals he's nicked the stones using his nanotech. The look on Tony's face when he realizes what he has to do is heartbreaking. Doctor Strange holds up one finger, reminding Tony this is the one timeline where they win, and Tony knows what it costs. He arranges the stones into his own gauntlet, and you can see the power immediately come into effect. Peter Parker's actor Tom Holland has said you can see the exact moment Tony accepts he's going to die. Then Tony, echoing his line from the OG 2008 film, says, "I am Iron Man," and snaps. The energy from the stones completely defeats Thanos and his army, turning them all to dust, but it's also killing Tony. Robert Downey Jr.'s performance as Tony dies is absolutely devastating. There's no dialogue, just his face showing he knows this is it.
Mr. Stark, can you hear me? It's Peter.
When Pepper tells him, "You can rest now," and he just stops fighting and dies, that's genuinely heartbreaking, that moment. This is the man who started the MCU, and he dies saving literally everyone. Absolute legend.
You can rest now.
Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe to the TV Regent, and here's another video that I know you're going to enjoy.